Next, we will have Leah Penniman, who is co-director and farm manager of Soulfire Farm since 2010. Lee has had over 20 years of experience as a soil steward and food sovereignty activist, having the mission to reclaim our inherent right to belong to the earth and have agency in the food system as Black and Brown people. Leah will be talking about Soulfire Farm, reclaiming Afro-Indigenous regenerative farming practices, decolonized ways of growing food that collaborate with ecosystems, and rooted in Indigenous, African, and Indigenous Turtle Island growing techniques. Thank you.
Greetings, peace and blessings, family. My name is Leah Penniman. I'm the farm manager and co-director at Soulfire Farm in Mohican and Haudenosaunee Territory, Grafton, New York. I am surrounded by these beautiful, bright, native pollinating plants. And these were grown using our version of African dark earth. African dark earth is a type of super rich compost invented by women in Indigenous West Africa over millennia. It combines residues from the fire, the farm, and the kitchen. And the ethos in Indigenous West Africa is such that everyone is responsible for adding to the soil by making African dark earth. So much so that if you take a soil core, you can determine the age of the community by the depth and layers of the super rich compost. Imagine a soil ethic like that here in these lands. Well, under settler colonialism, the way we treat soil is very different. Within just one generation of settlers attacking the Great Plains with overgrazing and plow, they had burned up over 50% of the organic matter, driving it out of the soil into the atmosphere, which was the first spike in atmospheric CO2 and the beginning of anthropogenic climate change. Agriculture today still produces about 1/4 of greenhouse gas emissions. And we know that instituting global Indigenous regenerative practices is a way to put that carbon back in the soil where it belongs. For every 1% increase in soil organic matter, we sequester around 8.5 metric tons of atmospheric carbon per acre. So if everyone were to farm this way, we could put 300 billion metric tons of carbon back into the soil where it belongs. So what practices are we talking about? When we talk about global Indigenous regenerative agriculture, this means no-till, permanent raised beds, perennial polycropping, cover crops, crop rotation, composting, and mulching. These practices have been passed down by our ancestors for generations. We know how to feed the planet without destroying the earth. Here at Soulfire Farm, by implementing these practices, we've been able to raise soil organic matter from around 2% when this land claimed us to over 12% today. Those are pre-colonial Indigenous levels of soil organic matter. So how can you help? The main way is to give the land back. Give the land back so folks native to Turtle Island can implement their regenerative practices, restore native ecosystems, care for one another and the planet according to the original instructions. And the best way to do this is to support the organizations that are being highlighted today. The Native Land Conservancy, Okiteo Cultural Center, Nipmuc Cultural Preservation, and the Northeast Farmers of Color Land Trust. It is time to return the lands. It is time to restore our covenant with the earth. It is time to implement ecological humility.